Album Review, the podcast where four totally unqualified guys review a different album every week in the hope of broadening our knowledge of music. However, we are easily swayed off topic and have no real idea what we are talking about. Today's album is the Backseat Lovers' When We Were Friends.
Yes.
It's Will!
It's me. So I would start off by saying this is arguably my favourite band currently. Not favourite band of all time, but I am obsessed with them at the minute, and I've been for like 2 months now. I just can't stop listening to them. The first song I actually heard of theirs was Kilby Girl, which I don't even know how I ended up listening to it, to be honest. I think it just came up with like one of the Spotify
Like
discovery things. Must have been listening to like an indie thing, and it came up and I was like, I couldn't believe that I'd never heard it. It just completely took me by shock. But ever since I listened to it like constantly, to the point that
Have you died?
yeah, I just completely lost what I was saying there. What I was saying, a point where I was obsessed with having to show people it, as Aidan will testify. But I've never been more disappointed when I showed Aidan it, and he was like, "Well, that was kind of shit." And I was so like, I need to show this to people.
You never showed it to me.
I know, but I hadn't seen you.
So you weren't that eager.
I
People
hadn't
that matter,
seen
never.
you.
Come on, mate.
And it wasn't until I
He's
think
like,
I'd listened to
"Ooh."
it for ages until we went to Meadowhall. Was it then that I showed you, Aidan? On the way?
No,
I can't
no,
remember.
you put it in the playlist, and I told you that I thought about taking it out.
Oh, that was it. Yeah, I don't know why, because
It
it's
was
amazing.
that bad. It was that bad that I was just like, "No, fuck this." And
But you are lying. You know it's not bad.
I mean, I'll let you know right now. Kilby Girl is still a nothing song, even now after listening.
How
to
is it a
album.
nothing song at
Sorry,
all?
what?
You heard me. Kilby Girl, nothing.
I don't understand it.
You can't, but I don't understand that. It's literally got like triple the views as its second most
It's obviously
listened to song.
came up on lots of people's discovery playlists.
Because it's amazing.
Listen, Joe, you can understand how I would say that. And
It is a good song.
no, but here's obviously a reason. Yeah, it may have a lot of views. But any song by KSI also has a lot of views.
Okay,
Yeah, but he had
I
a backing to
understand.
give him that initially. These didn't, and it's still the most listened to.
Would you say your favourite song by this band is on this album, Will, or is it a different song?
It's on this album.
Okay.
Why?
What a
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, was there some other like groundbreaking song that you really liked? Because you said you're obsessed with listening to them, but I thought they only had this album, so I'm like, how much other music do they have? I haven't really looked.
They do, and then I think there's like a new single they released last year. Then other than that, I think there's just like a couple other bits that I haven't listened to, or if it's come up in a random shuffle of them, and I've not really taken much notice. But generally, I really like it. Where was I? But yeah, my slightly autistic brain was like, you need to show people this, and they must love it. And Aidan disappointed me with that. So, but since then, I listened to the entire album, obviously, and now you have. We all have.
yeah.
Because this is album review.
As a matter of
This
fact,
is a shambles.
this is a first for album review. I haven't listened to it.
I changed up the formula, and I'm just gonna wing it.
So this is what I thought of Billie Eilish's new album.
Do you know what this is, right? I've written notes, and writing notes throws me off more than just coming up with it on the spot. Because I read the notes and I get lost.
I just follow it. I
Anyway.
write a script. Like,
Yeah, like, I fucking hate it. I can't do it.
they
But
call me the man who can't be moved. That's how much I write the script.
I definitely wish I'd listened to him sooner because I think it's fantastic. Don't get me wrong, it's not the perfect album, and I'll go into that. Because first of all, there is definitely 3 top songs that stand out above anything else of being absolutely fucking incredible. Don't get me wrong, I don't think the songs outside of that are bad at all, but I just think they're very good, but they're not like as higher tier. If you had a tier list, I'd put these top 3 as God tier, and then the others are like the top,
Maybe
like,
D
just
tier.
great,
no, like,
great tier.
just like great tier, and then there's a
Great
couple
tier.
that are slightly like just
Shit
good.
tier. Yeah,
just
shit tier.
good. But like
Shit
generally
tier.
speaking, there's nothing shit at all on this. I don't think.
I agree with that.
And I just think the top 3 just stand out, and there was literally no doubt in my mind of what these top 3 would be. There's honourable mentions, like for the Tears, but that's it. Worst for me, I would say, is Intuition. Mainly because it's just slightly more bland of the whole album. It's probably the only song that I'm a bit like, not that keen on listening to this.
I think the issue with that song is it starts off really bad.
Yeah, I really don't like it.
And then it gets all right, but then never really goes anywhere else.
That's it. It's very. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. It added like a different tempo, like because that's what I quite liked about this as well.
Sped up,
always, huh?
It like just suddenly speeds up. Okay, we're going somewhere, but then it never really goes to where it like seems like it's promising.
And I think I get why it's placed where it is in the album, but as well because there's like this whole album is up and down. It's like from super positive to then just really toned down and stuff. But so I do think that the way they've actually listed the songs is in the best order they could have done, to be honest. Like I love the way it ends on Sinking Ship and stuff, but
I didn't think there was enough deviation between the songs to really notice the order that much, to be honest.
I agree.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's true though. I still feel like they did enough to separate it and make every song somewhat unique in their own way. I understand what you mean. If like they have a very distinct style, and they are all that style.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. To me, when this was those classic albums, when listening in a car, it was difficult to tell when one song had finished and the next song had started.
Definitely.
Without looking at the song changes.
Maybe that's
I think that comes with time.
No, but I also think...
But like some songs, like there's a definite change. I feel like on this album, sometimes there was a few songs that were different, and you'd be like, oh, there's a new song. But sometimes I might not have realised, oh, that wasn't... Like, I've missed 2 songs here. I'm going to have to go back because I didn't realise I've just glossed over 2 songs.
I think that's also due to the fact that like the songs were structured very weirdly. Like in terms of there was like a lot of this. I'm not saying this on every song, but a lot of the songs had like no really defining chorus or like almost every section was different. So like you'd be in one part of the song and then suddenly it's a different song, but it sounds like a different song, but it's still the same song.
Sometimes it could have been a different song.
That's not inherently a bad thing.
No, I don't think that's a bad thing.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
Sounds like Joe saying this is a bad thing.
No, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying
like
I'm saying that's
Denver, isolate the audio. Denver, did I just hear Joe say bad thing? And then
I think I heard bad thing.
Clip that! Don't clip that! Don't clip that!
Joe saying cut it out and then say bad thing.
I wasn't saying that as a bad thing. I was saying that to kind of support Denver's point. I was saying that to kind of support Denver's point in like telling from song to song. And sometimes you can't tell because every section of a song was so inherently different.
Maybe it's like, I do agree completely with that, but I also think like with this type of music, like indie music, it's often hard to switch up the complete change between songs because of the genre.
Because it's not indie then.
And like, whereas like pop music, they can kind of go any way with what they want in an album. It can kind of just go from this pop disco thing to like a very and you'll notice a massive change. Whereas like this kind of style and the way they sing it and you can understand why it's a lot harder to go from song to song without it being. It's a very similar style, even if it is toned down to more acoustic level. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
No. Whereas it's not going. They're not going from fucking disco to acoustic.
It's all the same. They've picked a genre and they've really stuck to it.
Yeah, most indie bands do. There's not many that are that.
Like look at
up
Catfish for example. Like
all
their songs are the same.
Literally, the 3 albums are just complete copies. Honestly,
yeah, but they've not changed up their style at all.
No, and there is a very, I would argue, Dugout on this album is incredibly Catfish. Though.
But then you look at an indie band like 1975 who change it up every album.
Yes.
You know, or Bring Me the Horizon. They change their style.
But that's to varying degrees of success, though.
I'll disagree. Up till Ammo, Bring Me the Horizon changed every time and innovated every time, and they was just as successful, if not more successful, in every album, and then they brought out Ammo. And
Yeah, but that's all your opinion.
No, Ammo's
You get a load of people out there going, when that album released, people were like, I'm going to rip off my tattoo that I've had.
Literally, yeah. Like,
So
I'm not saying like your point.
I
is
like how we
irrelevant,
all
but-
get that rip-off tattoo thing from Kieran's mate.
Literally.
Yeah, it is.
Who said that?
But my point being, though, is,
So dramatic.
is that
He was drunk.
Well, what if he did?
But like, yeah, you like the album, Will, but most people didn't, and it was like, but we fucking lost the point here.
Ammo
What I'm
did
saying,
pretty well.
it is possible to change it up and still be successful.
It is, but I feel like Bring Me have a lot. Their style of music has a lot of different avenues it can go down compared to this.
I don't know.
If
I'd
these
say
started
pretty
adding
much
electronic
everything.
shit, it would be weird.
What do you mean, like that stripped back thing that Joe showed us? Was it a Wage War stripped back or something?
That
It was
wasn't at
still
all
just.
stripped back.
It wasn't stripped
Yes,
back.
it
But
was.
still had metal music
No,
playing.
it didn't.
It had like all this
Literally.
fucking
And
techno
all the
shit in the
effects on his
background.
voice as well.
Yeah,
This is not stripped back at all.
It was just an orchestra
It
playing
didn't say
along.
acoustic, did it? It said stripped back.
Yeah,
It just didn't have all the bow wows.
Oh my god.
I feel like strip back
horrendous.
has connotations that Wage War threw out the window.
I disagree.
No one cares what you think.
Okay.
Anyway, what did I say? Worst was Intuition. Yeah, I just think it was the most basic song compared to all the rest. It was a bit meh. Whereas every other song I actually loved and remembered insanely well. That one just kind of, and like Joe said, I really don't like the very start of that song. It kind of just, it's like, oh, I don't get why it didn't even sound right at all. Third for me was the very start of the album, Watch Your Mouth. Arguably, for me, it has the best vocals in the entire album on it. It's like his raspy voice in that I fucking love, and the way he says "Watch Your Mouth" on that first bit is
Sorry,
amazing.
Can you give us a rendition?
It'd be a bit weird to do it from silent, would it?
Okay.
I can do the music for you.
Joe's doing the music.
I'll do the
Jeff.
drums.
I remember that. Watch your
Yeah,
tongue
I
and watch your
remember that
mouth. I'm
drum
gonna go
beat.
and hit your wife.
I can't remember how the drums go.
What are you doing, Joe? That's the most basic drum beat ever.
2, 3, 4.
Obviously, it's like
Sorry, what were you expecting? Did you want fucking
know.
cymbals and fucking all sorts?
when you said that he was
I
going to
did
do
want
the drum
cymbals.
beat, I was like, oh, he's going to nail this. This is how is he going to do
At
this?
what point were you like, I have all
Yeah, I was
confidence?
gonna say, like,
I don't know why. There's no drum beat in that bit. There's not even a drum beat in that part of the song. Fucking hell. Anyway, I think it's one of the weirdest starts to an album ever, but for that reason, I love it. Like, it's such like a small build up to the song, and that very much falls under what you said, Joe, in that there being like no real chorus or structure to that, because it's so like weird, that song. Like, it feels like it's got one chorus right at the start, and then the rest of it's all just whatever. it is.
Yeah.
But it's still, it's such a good start to the album. It proper gets you into what you're going to expect from the rest of it, kind of thing. And like I say, I do still think it's got the best vocals in the entire thing, despite it not being the best song. But definitely being up there. Second for me was Kilby Girl. Being the first song of theirs I found. It's so Two Door Cinema Club, it's unreal. Like, it is like they made the.
I mean, especially at the
bit-
swap at the end.
Oh, the
switch
3/4.
up.
Yeah, what do you even call that?
Wait, what song are we talking about?
Kilby
Girl.
You know, the one
What was
that
the third song you said?
Watch Your Mouth.
Huh? Watch Your Mouth,
What?
yeah.
That was never not listening. Shock.
So what you want about
Just like
those
the
kind of
good old
strummy bits
days.
at the end?
Yeah,
Like the ambient.
it's so
yeah.
Undercover Martin or what's the other one that was What
I
You
don't know.
Know?
They're all
That-
wank.
It's so much like that. It's unreal. Like how
It
the way it breaks into
reminded
that.
me. Yeah, it reminded me of a lot of stuff, but I couldn't put my finger on it.
Because Aidan, when we was at our mate's barn, I literally showed it to that guy there as well, didn't I? And that's the first thing he said.
You're
He
just
was
so
like-
vague.
I know, because I don't want to name drop anyone.
You don't want to
Just like,
dox
yeah.
him.
I don't want to dox him.
Full names,
We don't
please.
even know him really, but like I literally showed him it, and he was like instantly, he was just like that's very Two-Door Cinema Club.
And you were like, yeah!
Yes. It is.
And then I seem to remember that you...
Two-Door Cinema
Yeah,
Club.
and then you snorted another line off the pool table. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, yeah, that's what happened. It's like, yeah!
Yeah!
Every time Will agrees with a statement, he takes another line.
Another excuse. Don't start this as a fucking thing, jeez.
We've all got our flaws. Will's is copious amounts of cocaine.
It turns out that like that's probably how I ended up finding the song without me probably realising. I probably just put on that and it went onto like a bit of an artist radio or something. Because it literally could... The main guitar in it could just be from that album that of Two Doors.
Do you think that's why it's so much more popular than the rest of this?
I think so. It's easily the most mainstream song on this album. Like it fits the typical indie music,
but good.
It's the most upbeat song on the album as well.
Oh yeah, definitely the most upbeat. I think it stands out at being what it is compared to the rest of it. Like, it's so easy to see why it is the most listened to because it's
really,
yeah. I feel like it for what it is. None of the other songs I could see being in the charts or being sung in a crowd or whatever that's not like upbeat. Like that, you could definitely see it. You know what I mean?
No.
Do you remember before album review, Aidan, we said about
kissing? Yeah. How could I forget?
There was two. You said there was two songs that were good.
Yes.
I already got a feeling our two songs aren't the same.
Well, I mean, what gives that away? The fact that you've got Kilby Girl in there. Yours are Kilby Girl and Watch Your Mouth. Because you would have liked the way they go, watch your mouth! That would have been Denver's thing, because he's like, yeah, it gives you so much energy. I wake up and I get in my car, I drive to work, and it goes, whoa, energy. That'll be him. Just trust he'll say those exact words, just like that as well. Because he sounds like Warwick Davis. Hello, Warwick Davis.
I would honestly say I don't know how that song's not even got more listens than it has because I just think it deserves to be an indie cult classic. Honestly, like it's got
a lot of it's got 97 million views. Will.
Yeah, but compared to what some indie classics have got, I think that deserves to be up there. But the reason I think it isn't is because it's modern, and if this was released at that time when it was like the big indie, it would have been huge. I reckon.
100%.
And I'm gonna stand by it. I think it deserves more love in this band in general, but indie bands don't get as much love in general as they used to. I don't feel.
I think it's because the pull of indie stuff was that it was like not that in depth, technical. It was quite simple, and it was what somebody could achieve in their like garage.
Yeah.
Whereas now I feel like the average person can get near studio quality stuff just in his bedroom. Yeah. So I think it's just caused indie stuff to just fizzle out because no more does a band, like a friendship band just made up, have to like go down that avenue and try and make it popular. They can literally try and sound like as good as all the mainstream people.
Speaking of, does anyone want to make a joke about Joe not being able to hit studio quality music in his room? I was just waiting to see if somebody did. No.
But this is it, right? Like indie music is still popular, but it's not mainstream anymore. Like I don't feel like Blossoms are massive. Like they're probably arguably the biggest indie band right now. Or Wombats have just released an album, and that's doing incredibly well. But like they're still not like they actually won't. But even then, it's almost not indie anymore. That album and that song that was in the charts you've probably heard is like very. It's like,
it was a remix, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't like that. Like indie is still popular, but it's very much its own thing now. But it's never in the charts for any reason, really. Not at least not in the top 10. But like I say, I think if this was released in that time, it would have been up there. Which I think is why I also love it. Is like it's like a callback to that time. Like you don't hear this that often now. This kind of stuff.
And that's for the best.
Which I love. No, not at all. I don't like your comments throughout this, Aidan.
I'm just a bit shitty. Yeah, you know me? Yeah. I'm a bit of a shitty person.
Why are you doing this?
Just trying to cause trouble.
It's everybody knows that like in every group there's got to be one like dislikable character, and somehow it's still Joe, even after I'm making all these songs. Just crazy.
Come on.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Why you gotta do a brother dirty like that? Shit.
But my number one is Maple Syrup. I think it's honestly the best song I've listened to in such a long while. I would say it showcases everything that's good about this band. The level of like detail and like just intricacies in that song are unreal. Like, I just think they far surpass anything.
Ever.
Just ever, honestly.
Songs to defeat Thanos. That one.
Like the two guitars, how they do that together. And bearing in mind, it's the lead singer that does all the guitar into this. Like, considering how fucking intricate the majority of the guitaring throughout this whole album is. Joe, will you stop with them fucking faces?
No.
Sorry, was there not enough in it?
No, because what I was about to say is like how the guitars were so simple, but like in a good.
Simple.
But in a good way.
Is this guy about to say that they're simple?
They didn't make. There was nothing massive. I think there was one song in there. I think it was Olivia, that the fucking guitar playing, and that was amazing. But all the other stuff was just really simple, but they made it sound really good. They didn't overcomplicate any of the kind of riffs or the strumming patterns. It was all really simple, but they made it really catchy. I don't think there was anything complicated in there. That's all.
He's lying.
Aidan, are you hearing this?
Yeah, I'm hearing it. I know he's
I can't honestly believe it. The lead line for nearly the majority of these songs was
no, they were simple. It was like a couple of notes, and they were just playing them like fast. That was it. My dad.
The problem is this
me and my dad were listening
coming
to
from
this.
a guitarist that's played for 10 years, and is
me and my
still
dad.
amateur.
I can't believe this.
Me and my dad were listening to it on the way back, and he was like, "Joe, if you had produced this and sent it to me, I'd have believed it because it's so simple."
I fucking wouldn't.
Yeah, the singer's actually good for a start.
The fucking I can't believe you said how like it's simple.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying it's really good, but they did it simple. Like, there was nothing complex in there.
I would edge on agreeing with Joe, to be honest.
There was some little bits in there.
I think most songs felt like they were missing something, but I feel that's just indie. I feel that vibe generally with all indie bands, so it wasn't really something I would mark against this band for doing.
No, definitely
I think if they made it much more complex, it would no longer be indie.
I would agree.
Was just like devastated. My day's
there was
ruined.
There was one,
literally,
there was one specific song.
What's the line? What's the line?
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
It's been ruined. Yes, literally.
There was one specific song where the lead line was literally 4 notes just played like really fast and like in bars. So it was like,
and that was just too many for Metal Fan Joe.
I was gonna say,
it's just that. And
too much.
I thought that it sounded good. There's nothing wrong with simplicity if it sounds good, and that's what they pulled off.
The problem is there's nothing simple about it. If anything, it's being so complex that it sounds simple. Now that's hard to pull off.
I
something
just
that you've
disagree.
never achieved, Joe. But that's okay.
Right, there's a main rhythm guitarist, and then there's the main like lead line guitar, and the lead line is playing some crazy shit throughout the majority of these songs. So I don't understand how you can say that it's simple.
The lead line's really good, but it's
if you could play some of that shit like on Maple Syrup.
I could play any of that stuff.
Alright, you learn Maple Syrup, right?
I'll learn
the
lead
review,
lines.
you play it, and then we'll see.
Yeah, but like we do album review so fast.
Oh, do it? Oh, I thought it was simple, Joe.
On, Joe.
But you can't learn it straight away.
I will learn Maple Syrup for you. All right. Next time we do, I'm not playing an album review unless you really want me to. I will play the lead lines in Maple Syrup.
Oh, could you also play the solo at the end? That'd be nice.
I'll play the solo at the end.
Yeah, go on. Learn it all, right? And then you can tell me that it's simple.
Fine. Yeah.
Right.
I would agree, though, majority of the songs just have a simple... Like, a lot of the songs, you can pick a spot and it is playing a simple, just melody with no vocals on a lot of the songs.
Yeah.
There are long periods of that. Yes, I would agree. Like, Maple Syrup, in that lead line, does sound very... Even though it's, like, subtle, it is complex. But it's a small portions of that. Majority of like say you just pick random spots of like random timestamps on random songs. A lot of the time, you'll find yourself in a simple part of the song just by like the odds.
Yeah,
of it.
like I say, there are little complicated bits that are really nice, but like majority of it is very simple.
But like I say, I stand by the fact that I think that's just indie as a genre rather than this band.
Yeah, and like I say, I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all. That is just what it is.
That's it. I'm gonna say it. I don't care that you broke your elbow.
Literally, I don't care. Yeah, your opinion doesn't even matter to me now. You can say whatever you like in your review.
It never did.
Yeah, that's true.
Care.
It never did.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was gonna say the song changes loads throughout. It's super well written, and I would arguably say it's one of my favorite solos in a song ever, just because of it's because it's just so simple, and that's just what makes it amazing. Fuck you.
I feel the sarcasm.
So, as a whole,
By the way, I don't know if everyone got that. That was sarcastic.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell.
Just wanted to point that out, just in case.
Dog just keeps barking. Why are these bitches so loud all the time?
Go kick him.
I already did.
got some
She's
stress?
had her daily beatings.
To sum it up, I would say the album for me just has. Well, it's not perfect. It has almost everything I'd want from this kind of album. It's super well written. The production is insanely good. Like I feel like they got all the levels of instrument to instrument really well. It has so many little details that are like really great and just worked really well in the songs. The majority of the instrumentals were just I loved them. And while the singer not having the most amazing voice in the world, it worked for what they made. And I think he does show in it that he can go raspy as well, and which I'd be interested for him to do a bit more when they release more stuff. But in general,
raspier.
I absolutely love this album, and even though I don't care what you think, I do care what you think. So go on.
Is it me?
It is Joe.
So, I really, really wanted to like this because I'd heard it on the Big Boys playlist, and I was like, this is pretty good. But it was just meh. I didn't not like it, but I wasn't amazed by anything, and I kind of felt myself energyless after listening to it.
Drained almost.
I thought his voice was just really dreary, like slurring all his words. And I know I'm going to be a bit controversial here, but like he never.
Every time you say this, you say a completely non-controversial statement.
But he never got into a range where I was like, "Wow, that's great singing." It was always. it was just always really down in his range.
Don't get me wrong, I'd also agree.
And he never picked it up, and he just had your classic mainstream indie voice. There was nothing special about it. And that was kind of my whole takeaway from it. Like, it wasn't bad, but it was very meh. I thought the structures of the songs were very weird, and not always to its detriment, but I found it sometimes to be its detriment where they left it too long in an instrumental where I'd lose interest, and by the time his voice comes back into it, I was just bored of the song. And most songs just lost my interest within half. Pretty much all of them outstayed their welcome with like a stupidly long instrumental on the end.
I'd completely agree with everything you've just said.
This is amazing. I'm liking it. So
once again, the Tories band together to destroy another good album.
Back-to-back weeks of agreeing with Joe's statement.
And it never happens.
What does that tell you about how you are right now, Denver? That you're agreeing with Joe Midwood?
I'm obviously on a high right now.
On a highway to shit, am I right, fellas?
Well, I didn't completely agree with Joe.
Anyway, so yeah, I just thought he could do a lot more with his voice. There was times where the music was so great and so big behind it, and then you could hardly hear him because he was basically talking. and just slurring
I
his
think it's
words.
because the few times he just goes big, it just sounds worse.
Yeah.
So he stuck within what was okay.
Yeah. Will stuck his headphones off.
He tried to wear the hat to hide his emotions, and then you kept going, and his face just kept scrunching up.
Look, listen. I'm not saying this is a bad album at all, but I wouldn't. I'm not going back to it.
I won't ever listen to it again.
Not a bad album.
There was one song where I was like, finally, a fucking upbeat song that's not making me depressed and that I can actually get into. And then it went straight back into like everything else that it was doing. And I think it was frustrating because I really wanted to like them, but I just couldn't. My least favourite song was Dugout. Because I thought it was boring. It never led to anywhere, even when sometimes it felt like, and it was just all instrumental, and he would occasionally just come into it with a couple of lines and then back to another 2 minutes of instrumental. It was a nothing song. Nothing.
My notes on
nothing
Dugout
happened.
were forgettable.
Very forgettable. Like I can't even remember what he says in it.
Well, I can remember. The only thing I can remember about Dugout is how they say Dugout in the song Pool House.
Yeah, and they go, no, it's Pool House.
It's no different
I
than
thought-
us laughing at our stupid jokes, Joe. Calm down.
Fair enough. I felt like most of the songs lacked, basically what I said earlier, lacked a chorus, lacked a good hook. There was only real 2 songs maybe that had like a hook that actually like was rememberable, and all the others just were different sections piled into one.
Remember,
Wait, why are we laughing?
It's memorable.
Oh, sorry, not rememberable.
Rememberable.
Yeah,
I had a
remember.
mouthful of food then, and I was laughing. I was like,
Sorry, but no choruses, and there was no repetition, and that's what songs are. They're literally structure, like they're literally sections of a song repeated multiple times.
how dare you, Joe? Songs are whatever they want to be.
You're
You're
always-
moaning that a song's being right. So your argument there is it needs to be more boring.
It
than
needs
just
to be
being
more
repetitive.
boring
No.
to be more boring.
No, I'm saying there's no memorability.
Yeah, that's a good.
Because-
Or the hook
because-
in it isn't good enough for you to actually remember.
And then when they do have a good hook, they never bring it back. It's lost forever. You know?
Because I remember, because it's not always that is needed. Because I remember when we did Aidan album, I remember his songs didn't ever follow structure, but I could still use "You Remember" like a certain like hook point, even though it was only ever said once.
Yeah. And there wasn't a lot that really had that in this album.
Can't believe.
My third favourite song was Maple Syrup. Although that is my favourite. Second, my favourite.
No,
It's my favourite. I put it third. Because fuck you.
controversial decision.
You.
My favourite song is my third favourite.
No, although it's my third favourite, it was way too. Contradicting my last statement, it was way too repetitive.
These are the opinions of a bellend. I'm sorry, how can I take... Right, so I was going to say everything that's shit about this album, but it isn't that.
And then
So
there's like
it's
hard 180.
shit.
Hard 180 on himself. I fucking no, I love it.
Especially after you two pair of pricks fucking rated that album last week of like talking like it was this fucking god piece, and then you're
I
talking
never
like
said
this.
it was a god piece.
Yeah, but you still rated it quite high.
Oh my god! I'm so.
This song in particular, way too repetitive. Will's throwing things. It had literally the same strumming pattern and the same chords throughout the entire song. And sometimes that can work, but it didn't. It was just, I was bored.
I'm about to quit.
It had a little break. It had like a little instrumental break before the chorus, and I was like, "Oh, they're gonna change it up," and then it was straight back into the same fucking strumming pattern. And the singing, you know,
I wish they'd. If only they'd just been more repetitive.
What's funny about this though, right?
That would make
is-
it good because that's what good music is when it's repetitive.
Is Joe's talking about this?
Oh, they are
repetitive.
repetitive.
He's still probably going to score this like a 5 or something. He's still going to give it an alright score. When it's the other way around for Joe, like saying that it was an album, everyone else shits on it, they give it 2s and 3s. So it's like really down. Whereas even with everything Joe's saying, it's probably still not going to be that bad.
Well, I'm saying I didn't think it was a bad album.
No, he's just reacting badly to what you're saying.
Yeah, I agree. Because I think I'm being pretty fair and just...
I think you're being bang on, Joe. Keep it
Thank you.
I think you're belling.
My second favourite was Sinking Ship. I thought it was a great song to end on. I thought it was one of the ones where he started actually throwing his voice out a bit and giving a bit more energy in his vocals. And I think the instruments came together really well too. I think one thing to mention is in all the songs, I think it was really well produced. And I think the instrument writing was amazing. And I really...
Even though it was simple.
This is what I mean. It's simple, but it sounded great. And I think the writing was great. I think the chords all sounded really nice. And it was just a nice sounding... They were all nice sounding songs. Right? And Olivia was almost on my third favourite just because I loved the guitar playing in that particular song. I thought, I want to learn how to play that because that sounds so nice and so melodic. I'm being very, very professional today.
I mean, you literally contradicted yourself 4 times.
My favourite song was, of course, Kill Me Lover. Is it Kill Me Lover? That's what I wrote.
That's not even close.
That's what I wrote. Kill Me Girl.
Again, this guy's review completely irrelevant.
I'm being very professional today. Anyway, my favourite was Big Bang Badonkadonks.
I was listening to this in the car because I wanted to get my dad's opinion on the way back from work. And
so you could just steal that?
Dad was shitting on it. And we got to this song and he was like, I bet this is their most popular song. I was like, I don't know, to be honest. And I looked and it was. And I can completely see why. Will's completely right. If it was brought out 10 years ago, this would be an absolute cult classic. It is just a mainstream type indie song. It reminded me of Catfish and the Bottlemen more than anything.
And with the amount of views it's got.
I'll tell you what else it reminded me of. Mr. Brightside a bit. Like that type of era music, and I really liked it. It was the only song that had a hooky chorus that was catchy, and the instruments went with it too. My opinion. So all in all,
still wrong.
All in all, very meh. Didn't think much of it. Won't be going back into it.
Is that what you've spent the last 10 minutes doing?
Will's just made a fuck you sign and put it on his camera.
The K so much bigger than the rest of the letters.
I got slightly more angry when
you did.
So he was about to write fuck you, but it's like fuck you.
Thank you, Will. That's just my opinion. Welcome to another theory.
So is it a thumbs up or thumbs down from Joe?
It's a middle thumb.
That's
a middle
thing.
Yeah.
That's not a choice.
All right, can we say 45 degrees up? There you go.
No, it's up
or
or down.
Joe. Come on.
I'm probably going to give it a down. It's a
thumbs down from Joe.
Thumbs down.
It's brand new rating system that I actually
not,
really
I like.
It's
Hold
not
on a
Joe
second.
approved.
This is Joe's mind. It's if he could go half up, he would go half up. But because he can't go half up, it's all down.
It's down.
It's not okay. I'll round it up to.
Oh no, because I was thinking, I was like, is it nice sounding? Yes. Would I listen to it again? No. You know?
Yeah, exactly. It should be. If I'm not listening to the album again, it's a thumbs down.
No. Yeah. No, very mad. It's a not Joe approved.
Not Joe recommended. I love it.
I can't believe it. You actually get a well-written, well-produced, nice sounding, great instrumental, fucking piece of work, right? And you're like, thumbs down. And then last week, we were put through fucking hell listening to somebody's fucking dad just shouting at a mic, and that's thumbs up.
Yes,
with his.
but it's subjective.
Oh
though,
it's
Will.
not subjective. That is literal AIDS what we listened to last week, and you can shit on this. I'm done. I don't care.
Shit on it.
I didn't shit on it.
You
It's
just
all
thumbs down the cunt, you prick. I'm
He
done.
did give it a thumbs down.
I'm done. I'm actually done. At least you could have given it a thumbs up, but that one, you had one inkling to bring it back, and you fucked it. I'm done. I don't care. That's it.
So it's your review, Denver, so please.
Yeah, my review. I would start my review by saying I think Joe is pretty much spot on with most of what he said.
There's a sign.
There's the sign. I thought the album was very indie, but most of the songs didn't have enough depth for me to keep me interested. So I did get bored in a lot of the songs, and I felt like very few songs played to the strengths of indie. I felt like most songs were too long, too dragged out, which made them boring. Most of them are slow and weren't unique to stand out from one to the other. And they didn't sound any different to other indie bands. They didn't do anything here better than what other indie bands had done. Even, I mean, I didn't make the comparison, but like Kilby Girl, which is like one of the better songs of the album.
Wrong.
You also just sounds like another artist's song. Like that was one of the standout ones.
Yeah.
And it doesn't
Sounded like someone else.
Sound unique. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, is it the best song on the album because it sounds like a better band?
That's
Is
the
that
question.
the
That's the
case?
question.
I don't know.
It's not even in my top 3.
There wasn't enough killer tracks on the album to make me like the album.
Killer
And
tracks.
the songs
I like
just
that.
blend together. But the album itself was a good length, but it could have done with probably 2 more songs and taken the time off other songs.
Yeah.
Because the long
definitely.
instrumentals really dragged out tracks
Yeah.
longer than it needs to be, and I don't think they added anything.
What was the song that had like the harmonica on the end? What song was that?
Kilby Girl, you prick.
Was it Kilby Girl? It didn't need that. It didn't need that.
Oh my god, I can't listen to this.
By the end,
You're
it gets
supposed
to
to be a
when it's
musician,
as soon
Joe.
as it gets to the harmonica part, I'm skipping it.
So you're supposed to be a musician, and they put so many nice little intricacies, and you're like, it didn't need it, so it's shit.
He's so
But it's only nice if it
so mad.
benefits
I can't
the track.
believe it.
So
So
solid.
it's actually nice.
This is why we don't pick albums
I'm not
that we
ever
have
picking an album
personal
I like
attachments to.
Do you remember when I did this?
Yeah.
And I got really upset about it.
Yeah, I do.
I can't remember what album it was.
Probably
I think
Taylor
it
Swift.
Because this is
Oh, it's
genuine
okay.
talent,
Yeah,
and
right.
it's being just shit on. I can't believe
And
it.
we're not even shitting on it, Will.
Yes, you
We're-
are.
They're
Just
just
bringing up the
disagreeing
platform.
with you. And not even in like a mean way, they just disagree with what you said. And you're just like,
said
fuck
it.
you!
We've not come out and gone, you know what? They're fucking untalented pieces
You
of
tell me,
shit. They
what
shouldn't
good
be in the
thing have you
business.
said about this band?
I've said the
not
music
bad.
was amazing. Well,
Exactly.
I said I loved how nice sounding the guitars were. I've said how
production's
I've
good.
said the production's amazing. That's it.
All
I
in all,
think
thumbs down.
the biggest problem this album has for me is it's indie, and I'm not a typical indie fan. So an album is going to have to be borderline not indie for me to like it. So already you're starting off at like a baseline of like 5 out of 10 for an indie album. You know, you're going to struggle for me to like an album like this. Because I'm not
You're just not
usually a
into
fan
it,
of the
yeah.
genre.
Subjective, like you say.
Wrong.
It's the
So it's
1975
always
band.
for me.
Sorry.
What?
1975 are indie.
Yeah, they're not really.
Yeah, not
indie.
anymore
are.
though. They're more poppy now, aren't they?
That's
Really? Let's face it.
horrendous. I can't believe it.
And if you class them as indie, well then that's good because their songs are interesting. Whereas this, you can't not say that this band, all their songs just sound like it could have been another band. It doesn't sound unique in any way to any other indie that I've heard. It just sounds
Are you
worse than
joking?
another indie.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. It's like
I don't think they do anything
The
better
only
than another
professionally
indie band.
indie song on this album would be Kilby Girl. Everything else is so unique and it's like its own acoustic thing. I haven't heard any indie band do anything
right.
like Watch Your Mouth or Maple Syrup.
It might be, but I feel
Dugout,
like
I
nobody's
can
done
understand.
it because it's not good. It's boring.
Oh my god.
it is
them.
boring. But I feel like that's not all just to do with the structure of the song. It's his voice as well, and it's not that he's got a
not
bad
good.
voice. It's that he's very dreary and he never puts any energy into it.
My least favourite was Pool House, because I feel like it tries to be cool and it vocally sounds the worst on the album. And I would just, like, they tried to do the whole, as soon as the intro comes in, they go, Dugout, pisses me off. So I'm already starting annoyed. And it never recovers from that annoyance.
Denver hates poor people talking confirmed.
Watch Your Mouth was a disappointment because when I broke it down, it had all the ingredients to be a song I would like. Like, it has the build that I would usually go for. It has the, like, breakdown. It's a bit more upbeat, but then also slow. So it kind of changes it up, which is everything I like in a song. But too much of it was boring that I lost interest in it. And the big builds in it didn't build fast enough or too big enough to compensate for the boring, slow parts of the song.
I love the X-Men.
Hence
Cyclops
why...
is my favourite.
Pardon?
Cyclops is my favourite X-Men. X-Men's, both of them, look.
Oh. So, hence why, Aidan, you may have predicted that would be my favourite, but which it kind of, I couldn't understand why you think that, but
it's because sometimes you like that stuff, but then like I shouldn't have been so foolish as to assume you'd like something that was good.
Yeah,
that was where I went wrong. Is I picked a song that was actually worth listening to.
Also, I want to understand the whole boring comment from you and Joe, because music is like, unless you're going to do every song upbeat, surely you're saying every song is boring.
Right, okay. So here's how I would summarise this. So yes, there are two ways you can get about it. You either make it upbeat and fast to make it interesting, or I feel like if you make it slow, it needs to be like have something that makes you want to keep listening. So either the emotion from the vocals, or that you know it's building to a point. Whereas I was never hooked by any of his vocals in any of the album. So I was never looking forward to hearing him sing.
But then there was always a build-up.
Yeah, but it never really built to anything.
But yeah, it often just built to...
There was the build-up, but then it was anticlimactic.
It never really seemed to nail it. It would sort of build up and then stop.
Yeah, absolutely.
Never been more disappointed.
And I think, like I say, the whole album is on the back foot for me because I'm not a massive indie fan, not of this style of indie. Like I say, this is very like catfishy. I don't know. If someone says play some indie music, I feel like this is the perfect album to go. This is indie.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't really like this style of that. And I didn't think his voice was very good. Not just very good, but I just didn't like the sound of it. It's a subjective thing.
When you say to it like building up, there'd be like parts of a song where I go, if they do this part again, but like really opened up and really go for it, and really, start.
That's the metal guy in you talking.
There would be a lot of parts that would be like, it would just be kind of him and just like a guitar, and then I'm thinking, that would sound really nice if like they build up ruined. If they build up to that part and he goes higher in his range and starts belting those same lyrics,
or maybe like just starts screaming
and
like really horrible, guttural
and
screaming.
They would hint to it and build up, and then it would all just stop.
And then where was the guttural scream?
And that part never comes back again. And it was all just disappointing. And it tricked me every time. So, it's building to something. No, it didn't just quite hit the spot.
But in terms of least favourite, I really struggled. I had two songs that I knew were my favourite. The rest of them could change up any other day. To being, like, I didn't hate any of the songs. I didn't really like any of the songs more. So when I put Pool House, it's only because of that intro where it goes Dugout that it made it stand out, and I didn't like that. And the same for my third favourite. I'm not sure if it's my third favourite just because I remember it and it sounds different. And that was Davy Crockett. It just stood out as being different from the rest.
Definitely different.
Since Will Davey picked it, different is better. And so I put it in my third place. I thought that was a bit honourable since Will picked it.
Yeah.
My second favourite is the least listened to song on the album, Intuition. I thought it was the only song that felt like it was trying to generate emotion, and it kind of did. It was the only song on the album where the long instrumental pauses, I was held to the song because it actually felt like it did have some sort of soul to the song, whereas most of the songs felt soulless through the instrumental parts. So it.
But what are
that
you
song
yesing
actually
at,
did
Joe?
hold
Didn't
me.
you put it as your least favourite?
No.
No,
What did
Will
you-
put it as his least favourite.
Is it in your top 3, Joe?
It's not in my top 3, but I agree with Denver. Like, in terms of like all the songs sounded very soulless and like just generated no emotion.
Well,
Whereas I feel like Intuition did do that. So like that. And then the best by a mile, and this was actually a great song, is Kilby Girl. But far the best. It's upbeat. It has the breakdowns. It builds well. It shows the strengths of both his voice and this genre.
Yes.
It feels like it should be an album full of songs like this, whereas the rest of the... Because I felt like that's where this band excelled. Like, they just need to have more upbeat songs like this. I mean, then they'll be very, like, catfishy and just every song's the same. But I feel like that's what they excelled at. So, in general, I feel like it falls flat compared to it falls flat compared to what it's trying to be, while at the same time tries to be nothing different from other bands to try and convince me that indie is still a sustainably good genre of music and can reliably make good music.
Denver, you know that these overalls are supposed to be like less confusing than your entire review, right? You threw in like 3 words there that had more than 4 syllables, and my brain turned off.
Like, basically, that. I don't think indie...
Put it in layman's terms, please.
Layman's terms.
Put it in my terms. I'm stupid. I got square brain.
I feel like a lot of indie bands of this style make 1 or 2 good songs and that's it. They can't sustainably make an album of good songs.
Would you say that
This genre
indie
just
is
kicks out the odd good track.
Is indie a dying genre?
Yes. Otherwise, there'd be pop.
A winning a dying race?
Ultimately, it's just popular music. So we'd be listening to it on the radio if most people liked it.
True. Maybe. Radio's a bit hit and miss sometimes.
It's just
It is
mainstream.
because people can pay to be on there.
And if you listen to most of the stuff in top 10, none of it's complex. It's all just simple, catchy shit. People that tend to be arguably not as talented.
Well, I feel like
But
you've
they're
had your
talented
say.
at making music that is.
Well, it's
like...
okay. Well, it's okay.
No, but you.
So it's okay, Will.
It's okay. Calm down.
Well,
okay,
well, I
well.
don't know.
This is a
Fucking
bad
music.
dream. This is a bad
It's
dream.
either
Wake up. You've
dance
been in a
music
coma for 10 years.
or-
10 years, Will. Wake up.
Indie's dead.
Well, you've
It's
got to
not
wake
their
up.
fault.
Will,
It's been 10 years though, Will.
you're in a coma. Wake up. Will.
I'd rather die at this point. so sad.
Well, anyway, it's my review, and I'm hopefully going to drag him slightly up back from the dead. I think this album is a vibe. And that is a very generalised term.
Got to
Vibe- vibe can also-
me for a ride.
Shut up, you fat prick. Sorry, that was rude.
That was really rude.
Would you like to sing that again?
Yeah. Got to vibe. Well, this is me for a ride.
Thank you, Joe.
Fuck's sake.
I've never touched drugs, but if I did, I'd probably listen to this album. I don't think I've ever been as internally divided by an album than this one. Because on the one hand, it has 2 songs that I like. Like, I really genuinely love them and would keep listening to them on repeat, right?
Mhm.
And then there's the songs that I don't. The songs that I don't, while still a mood, don't even compare, I think, really. And the singer, while he falls into that very rare category of, for me personally, of British singers that do indie music that aren't awful, I quite like the passion in the music. You know?
I felt like there was no passion.
Nah, the passion was there. Passion in the music too. While it's still mellow, you still get the impression that they truly enjoyed making their songs and writing the songs, performing the songs. They are the songs. We've got a quick fire round here. Clean solos are amazing, and the lead singer is an absolutely incredible guitarist. Their ability to switch up songs on the fly is great, and the last time I was that impressed with this with this kind of thing of switching up of songs was in Mariana's Trench. And safe to say, I was pleased by them based on them being the number one most listened to thing of last year. So I really enjoyed that. And while all similar, the songs, I'd say, stayed interesting enough in their own ways. But while it sounds like I have nothing but praise for this album, I fall back on my original statement. That being, I only really like 2 songs. And the other, for me, they don't bring out any lemony zest for the cheesecake that I needed, right? It's like the cheesecake was a cheesecake, but with whipped cream. But the whipped cream wasn't whipped cream, it was shaving foam. And like, I could scrape it off, but like, I just wanted cream. Why'd you try and do that to me?
So you just force it down your throat anyway?
Nah. Side note, my mum, I don't know why I've written this story in here. Side note, my mum asked me what I wanted for tea once, and I said carbonara with bacon. She was like, okay. And I went downstairs and she was cooking it, but she was going to try and put ham in it instead of it. And I don't think I've emotionally recovered from that betrayal.
Oh, that would be so much nicer, though.
No, I'm a bacon guy, so I was like, carbonara bacon. I walked down.
I thought you were going to be like, she would put in like, you were like, oh, can I have some bacon? But she was like, what, bacon powder?
No, not
and
bacon
like
powder.
she started putting baking powder.
I said, Mum, can I have carbonara bacon? And went downstairs, and sure enough, now was fingering herself again.
Fucking Jesus.
The worst song for me was Olivia, because it's basically just an instrumental with like 2 lines of singing.
Oh, that's Dugout, not Olivia.
Ooh, shut up. My third favourite was actually Pool House. Very chill, very dramatic. I actually quite liked it. And like where you said you didn't like his singing, I say, shut up. Second favourite for me, and this is the top 2. The top 2 that I stand by. Number 2 was Watch Your Mouth. Hits harder than I hit children. That shit went. Oh, that shit was slapping. That shit was bussing, fam.
Oh, bussing.
Oh, that shit bussing. Oh, no, I really actually liked Watch Your Mouth. But number 1, by a country mile, was Maple Syrup. Fucking amazing. Absolutely love this. If this was song review, this would be a 10. I fucking love this song. Like, genuinely. Overall, call me Canadian, but if all the songs were Maple Syrup, this would have been the best album ever made.
Damn. Just a crazy review there, boys.
I like
crazy review.
Normally, you know what? You guys all go into the intricacies. I just list random.
That was quick.
Well, it's been a long album review so far.
Oh, I know. My food has gone completely stale cold. I've been eating it in between things. I don't know if you've heard occasionally.
Well, I'm still to put my food on.
Oh, well, don't worry. When you edit this album review, you'll hear it all in the Audacity, because I can see it wasn't coming up on Discord, but sometimes the crunch did come up in Audacity. Nice. So you're just going to be chatting, and I'm just like.
It does surprise me with Maple Syrup. I remember when you and Will watched the acoustic thing, and you really, really liked it then.
I still do. I watched that video.
So repetitive.
I watch that video like once a day. I still love that video so much. It's incredible.
Like they clearly care about the music and stuff, and I'm sure they love it and stuff. But it's just not
too long.
There's just nothing there for me. It's just a bit of a nothing album for me.
I agree.
Are you really trying to bring it down after I left that nice note at the end?
We just equalised.
Yeah, you were just. Will's been shot. No, Will's been shot by you guys. He poured his heart out. He got shot. I went over and bandaged it a little bit. No, I bandaged it a little bit. Then you ripped the bandage off, put your thumb in the wound, and started twisting it. You know what? I don't think it was that good.
And now I'm digging his grave.
Start digging it then, because it's time to do the.
This is like Will's got a girlfriend.
It's just like
me and Joe have just told him his girlfriend's sleeping with other people.
And I'm the one fucking his girlfriend.
But she's still a lovely person.
I'm the one fucking his girlfriend. Don't worry, buddy. She's a keeper. Oh, shit. Ratings?
Ratings.
Will?
8.5.
It's a 5.
4.
It's a 6.5.
You were dead on with your prediction there, Denver.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean,
You said I bet Joe gives it a 5, and I was like, do I change
The way
it
you were
now?
talking,
You're predictable, Joe. Let's be honest. You're a
it
thumbs
scores
up 20 pounds.
24.
I was thinking about stretching it to 5.5, but then I was like, that means I would go back and listen to it because it's over the half
threshold.
Yeah, so I was like, no.
I need to start noting actually if it's a thumbs up or thumbs down from Joe.
From
I
Joe,
mean,
yeah.
maple
Is it Joe
syrup for
approved?
me was worth an entire point over the 5.
Really?
That's how good that song was.
So did you just not think much of Kill Me Girl then?
It's shit. I hate it. I actually hate it.
You don't like it?
No.
Why? Why?
Because Will put it in the Big Boys playlist, and it annoyed me. And then he forced me to listen to it, and then it annoyed me more. Now I can't listen.
Will
Kill
has
Me
put
Girl
worse
only
songs.
gets good 3/4 of the way through when it goes into the Two Doors Cinema Club territory.
Will has put worse songs in the Big Boys playlist. Remember that?
Yeah, I know he has.
Remember that?
I'm not
country
even in
one?
this Big Boys playlist.
You can just Google it.
Just Google it.
Oh, if it's just so.
To be fair, we shouldn't be
Football,
advertising this because some random guy started adding to it. We had to like,
He added his own
delete it.
song. Yeah. It's lucky I noticed it. I was just like, what the fuck is this?
You could just make it private, just with the people invited.
Joe was never invited. Joe just added
public
a
enough.
song. And
I just
got
added
right
a song and it was deep, but I have to make sure when I do add a song, it's a good song.
Yeah, because he added one song and I got really annoyed, but then it was actually a good song. So I was like, you know what, Joe? You can stay.
Right, Aidan, what's your album?
My pick is the home team Slow Bloom. Wow, what a great pick, Aidan. Thanks, guys.
That's fucking fantastic pick. Woo!
Very excited for that.
Right, Joe, what's your closing thought?
Did you know
Oh.
that sliced bread was only a thing in the 1900s?
That's not a thing now.
Onwards.
Oh.
Only in the 1900s. They stopped.
It stopped being a thing.
The year 2000 hit and they were like, no more sliced bread, please.